embarking on a journey back to the 18th century, to a time when one man dared to defy the chains of slavery, Tacky's Rebellion. In the bustling plantations of Jamaica, a leader emerged from the shadows, known as Tacky, or as he was once called in his homeland, King Nana Tecky, captured and sold into slavery, whose journey led him to become a symbol of defiance against oppression in Jamaica. In this episode, we will view one of the successful rebellions in the history of African slavery, Tacky's Revolt, led by a Fanti chief sold into slavery to Jamaica. This event in the history of slavery resistance in the Caribbean states traces back to Ghana, formerly known as the Gold Coast, as the origin of most slave trade routes to the Caribbean, especially Jamaica, as their destinations. Also known as Nana Tecky's Rebellion, was a significant uprising that took place in Jamaica during Easter in 1760. Led by an Akan chief and warrior who was sold into slavery to Jamaica, named Tacky, also known by his Fanti name as Nana Tecky, originally from the Gold Coast modern-day Ghana and ruled the state called Coromantee in the central region of present-day Ghana. Nana Tecky was a wealthy chief who engaged in selling prisoners of war between his rivals of the Ashanti, Nzima, and Ahanta, off into slavery as spoils of war to the British, until he was captured during the Comenda Wars and sold off into slavery to Jamaica when his state was defeated. During this time, various African kingdoms and societies participated in the capture and sale of individuals from rival ethnic groups to European traders. After being captured and sold into slavery, Nana Tecky eventually ended up in present-day Jamaica, where he became a prominent figure among the enslaved population. He was a proficient and well-trained warrior, in addition to speaking excellent English, as was typical of the ruling elite of Fantis at the time. When he arrived at the prison cells in Jamaica, other native Africans he had sold into slavery recognized him and wanted to murder him. They were people from other ethnic groups in Ghana, including the Achim, Ahanta, Nzima, Fanti, and Ashanti. However, Kwabadu Ya Isubadu and Kwarting from the group of slaves who were also from Coromantee stood up and vouched for Nana Tecky and were able to talk the other slaves out of their plans of executing the enslaved King Tecky. Tacky's Revolt was one of the most notable slave uprisings in Jamaica's history. It began on Easter Sunday, April 7th, 1760, in the parish of St. Mary, particularly in the area around Port Maria. Tacky, along with his allies from Coromantee, planned and executed the rebellion, which aimed to take control of the British island colony and create a separate black independent nation, Jamaica. After years of arduous labor on the plantations, Tacky and his companions were found organizing the uprising in a cave in 1759, 1 year before it really occurred. They either escaped at night and returned before dawn, or they did so during the day while everyone was preoccupied with work. They would meet in the caves with the Queen Nanny Cuba of the time, an Akan slave who was chosen by the Coromantees of the town as queen, raised to the rank of royalty, and known as the Queen of Kingston. At service gatherings of the Maroons, Queen Cuba was known to sit in state under a canopy, with a sort of robe on her shoulders and a crown upon her head. She was also known by her Akan name, Queen Nana Ikiya. She was suspected to be in contact with Nana Tecky and the rebels, and was ordered to be taken off the island by the Maroons after they accused her of conspiracy to rebel. She bought the ship's captain off halfway through her transit off the island, allowing her to land in western Jamaica, where she joined the self-liberated Africans who were heading east. From there, she stayed at large for months in the caverns. With full support from Queen Nanny Ikiya Cuba, Tacky's plan was to defeat the British and all slave masters and create Jamaica as a separate and independent black colony. Known as Tacky's War, or the 1760 Easter Rebellion of Port Maria, it took place a year later to become the second largest and most shocking rebellion in the history of slavery. It began in the early hours of Easter Monday, April 7, 1760. King Nana Tecky and his comrades began by executing white masters and overseers on the frontier and Trinity plantations. The owner of the Trinity plantation, Zachary Bailey, however, managed to escape and spread the news of the rebellion. Slaves rose up on the Esher estate, also known as Front Hill Abbey, owned by wealthy politician William Beckford, and joined in the rebellion. Hundreds of rebels made their way to the storeroom at Fort Haldane, where they killed the storekeeper and captured and defended the town of Port Maria from British colonial forces. Tacky and his troops gathered nearly 4 barrels of gunpowder and 40 firearms and then overran the Haywood Hall plantation. By this point, more than 400 people had joined Tacky and his followers. Tacky's charisma and leadership are among the most amazing parts of his story. They encouraged hundreds of enslaved people to join the uprising. His reputation as a formidable fighter and his capacity to bring together individuals from many African ethnic backgrounds were key factors in the success of the uprising. According to oral history, Nana Techi and his followers were strengthened and protected by the Obeah spiritual leaders, who had been labeled witch doctors by the Westerners in Jamaica. Obeahman witch doctors quickly circulated around the camp, dispensing a powder that they claimed would protect the men from injury in battle, and proclaimed that an Obeahman could not be killed. The British commanded the Maroons and their local army to fight Tacky and his men, as well as kill any Obeah leader. The killing of an Obeah leader angered Tacky and his men, who by now had a strong army with close to 80 different groups and had taken control of a greater part of the land. Consequently, they killed several more plantation owners and white people before retreating into the bush to fight the Maroons sent by the white officials to stop the rebellion. However, despite their initial victories, Tacky and his followers faced fierce resistance from the British colonial forces. On April 12, 1760, Lieutenant Governor Sir Henry Moore dispatched British troops and their Maroon allies to the rebellion in St. Mary's Parish, wounding Tacky in battle. 2 days later, additional Maroons British troops engaged Tacky and his followers in the Battle of Rocky Valley. Most of the rebels were killed. Many others fled into a cave near what is now called Tacky Falls, where they committed mass suicide. Tacky and a few of his followers fled into the woods pursued by Maroons. One British marksman shot and killed Tacky and then severed his head. That head was then displayed on a pole in Spanish Town until some of Tacky's surviving followers took it down. Despite his death and the failure of the rebellion, insurrections continued in Jamaica until slavery was officially ended by the British government in 1834. The cost of these continuing rebellions was a major factor in the British government outlawing slavery throughout the empire. Tacky's revolt had a profound impact on Jamaica's history, serving as a symbol of resistance against slavery and oppression. His bravery and determination continue to be celebrated in Jamaica as a reminder of the strength and resilience of the enslaved African people who fought for their freedom. Today, the legacy of King Nana Mensa Techi lives on, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of hope in the face of adversity. Join us next time as we uncover more untold stories from the pages of history. Until then, remember, the past may be written, but its echoes shape our future. If you enjoyed this video, give me a like and subscribe to our channel to help the production. Thank you.